watching ABC7 News at 7.
Last year I was paying about $312 every 2 weeks, and now it has gone up to $420 every 2 weeks. It's insane.
It's open enrollment for many. Time to pick out a health care plan right for you. But why are so many rates higher and deductibles going up? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on the cost of health care in a moment, but first, our top stories at 7. It has been a mystery for 6 years. Now, detectives are reopening a missing persons case after getting a credible tip, and police want your help. ABC7's Erica Jackson has more on the recent developments in the investigation for a missing 27-year-old Sarasota woman.
Patricia Scala was known as Erin to her friends and family. She was living with her boyfriend just off of Bee Ridge Road when she disappeared in 2012. Investigators found themselves back at that spot 6 years later.
You think it's a movie, it's something on TV, it's not going to happen to you.
Lynn Scala watches a lot of TV specials on missing person cases. Now she's starring in one. She reported her daughter missing in 2012, 1 week after she last spoke with her on the phone.
So many things go through your head when somebody goes missing.
Erin's live-in boyfriend told Lynn that he dropped her off at a hotel on US 41 after an argument. Lynn posted hundreds of missing person flyers around town. 6 years later, no one has seen or heard from her.
I have been optimistic for the last 4.5 years, but when some tips started coming in slowly here and there, then I started losing that hope, which is sad.
Sarasota County investigators spent years interviewing dozens of friends, associates, and neighbors. They examined bank account statements and other electronics, but their search came up short. Detectives found themselves back at Scala's boyfriend's home in September 2018 after getting a reliable tip from an acquaintance of Scala's. That person suggested she may have been killed, with her remains still on the property of her boyfriend's Sarasota County home.
We saw him going in with shovels. We saw him going in with like trash bags and stuff.
Detectives spent 2 days searching the property, but were unable to find any evidence.
They didn't find anything, and that's what was the weirdest part.
Lynn is thankful for that tip, since it's giving the case more attention than it ever received. She hopes it will motivate more people to share what they know.
I know that there's people out there that know what happened to her, and I'm hoping somebody comes forward.
The sheriff's office has not named Erin's boyfriend a suspect or a person of interest. Lynn Scala says she doesn't know if her daughter is dead or alive. She's just asking for some closure right now. Anyone with information is asked to contact Sarasota County Crime Stoppers. Reporting in Sarasota County, Erica Jackson, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
If you live in Venice, there's a planned water outage scheduled for tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. to repair a water main. The areas affected are listed on the screen and are required to boil for consumption only for 72 hours until the boil water advisory has been rescinded. For more information, go to the city's website at www.venice.gov.com or call the Venice Utilities Department at 941-480-3333. Floridians gave $1 billion to thousands of charitable organizations each year, but where is that money really going? The holiday season is the best time of year for charities to raise money. However, it can be tough to tell which organizations actually use the money for services they advertise versus those mainly spending donations on salaries and overhead and others still that are outright scams. Our Attorney General Pam Bondi is releasing her office's 2018 Holiday Consumer Protection Guide with tips on how to determine whether a charity is legitimate or not.
So many great organizations have been opened and are helping all the folks in the Panhandle to not only reestablish their lives, but have a great holiday season as well. But if someone calls you over the phone and asks you for money, check it out first.
Remember, it is much easier to avoid bogus charities up front rather than attempting to get your money back after you have been scammed. Florida has set another tourism record. Florida welcomed 95.8 million visitors from January through September, according to Visit Florida. That is the highest number of visitors in any 9 months in Florida's history and represents a 6.7% increase over the 89.8 million visitors during the same period in 2017. That includes 85 million domestic visitors, 8 million overseas visitors, and 2.8 Canadian visitors. This is the final week of the 2018 Atlantic hurricane season. The season began on June 1st and was relatively calm for Florida until Michael made landfall on October 10th as a Category 4 storm hitting the Panhandle. The storm is blamed for at least 36 deaths and caused massive damage around Mexico Beach. It tore apart homes, snapped trees, knocked out power as it barreled through to Georgia. The storm resulted in about $3.5 billion in insured losses. And we will discuss how this year's hurricane season was compared to previous years on Thursday right here on ABC7 at 7 with our own chief meteorologist, Bob Harrigan. Speaking of which, ABC's Bob Harrigan now joins us for our first alert forecast. Bob.
Yeah, and it's not hurricanes we're talking about, but cold fronts. This is the time of year for those, and indeed we're getting one right now. Showers and even a few isolated thunderstorms have popped up this late afternoon and evening across the Sun Coast. Now it's mainly rainfall, though. Big changes, though. Florida chill is on with highs only in the 60s tomorrow. And we're talking lows in the 40s in places on Wednesday morning and Thursday morning. Right now, that heavy line of showers is in actually Hardee County, just east of Wauchula, pushing to the east. There are a few lightning strikes there. And then the rain pretty heavy along I-75 into central Sarasota County. Periods of showers out here in the Gulf of Mexico will make their way onshore through the next couple of hours. And then the cold front actually pushes through during the morning on Tuesday. Right now, we can still see some moderate to heavy rainfall offshore, some light rain periodically showing up on the radar near Longboat Key, Anna Maria Island, and as I mentioned, near Northport and I-75, some heavier shower activity there. Just some moderate rainfall occurring near Northport and Warm Mineral Springs. All this pushing to the east as the line is dropping to the south at around 10 miles an hour. And then you can see showers scattered about out here in the Gulf of Mexico in advance. So that's what we'll see through this evening. Generally cloudy skies with periods of some showers. I don't think we'll see many thunderstorms out there, but temperatures still staying relatively warm at 67 degrees. The cold air won't be in place until tomorrow. So expect a few evening storms and then turning much colder on Tuesday as those winds shift. It's going to usher in some pretty chilly temperatures. Now, on top of that, the winds will get pretty strong, too. We're talking up to 20, 25 miles an hour, gusts as high as 30 tomorrow afternoon and evening. And then wind chills, there's a possibility of some wind chills in the 30s on Wednesday morning as lows will be into the mid-40s. And with that wind, 10 to 15 will make it feel much colder on Wednesday morning. We'll have more. I'll let you know on whether this cold spell is going to continue for a long duration coming up in a few minutes. Alan?
Bob, thank you. It is fair to say much of the debate over health care has surrounded the merits and the costs of Obamacare. But for those of us lucky to get health insurance through our employers, the not-so-secret secret is that it is getting increasingly expensive and covering less. ABC7's Jess Dowdrick looked into why and what trends we're seeing on the Suncoast.
Christina Fretz is a hairdresser at a Manatee County salon. Her employer, who Fretz wishes to keep confidential, offers 3 healthcare plan options. Fretz says she chose the one in the middle of the road.
Last year I was paying about $312 every 2 weeks, and now it has gone up to $420 every 2 weeks. It's insane.
That covers Fretz and her family for health, life, vision, and dental insurances.
Now I feel like I'm basically working to pay for health and life insurance and car insurance and maybe groceries. So it's to the point that right now, if my husband were to be out of work for a week, we would probably be homeless.
According to the Healthcare Cost Institute, here on the Suncoast, healthcare costs are 12% below the national average. But
price growth since 2012 was 25% in Sarasota. Which is above the national average.
That's not surprising, considering Fretz saw exactly a 25% cost increase in her plan for 2019. But it's not just premium costs that are going up. According to the Healthcare Cost Institute, it's also deductibles and prices of the services that are also going up. All of that interrelated.
In this population, people are using fewer services. So service use is not driving the increase in spending, but the price that the sticker price for all these services has gone up substantially.
For Floridians, healthcare costs are approximately $5,400 each year.
Hospitals, pharmaceutical manufacturers, and other providers are just increasing the price per service.
When it comes to employer-based insurance, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation's employer health benefits findings, overall total premium prices have increased 55% since 2008. That's twice as fast as workers' earnings and 3 times as fast as inflation. But as this graph shows, employers are still paying 2/3 of an employee's premium. So while the amount taken out of your paycheck every week for insurance is increasing, so is your premium cost that's coming out of your employer's pocket. If you don't like the health insurance options that your employer is providing, or maybe they don't offer health care insurance at all, you can always go through Obamacare. However, less people are signing up for Obamacare this year in comparison to last year. That may be because there's no penalty anymore for not having health insurance at all. Jess Dowdrick, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
In a moment, the economic and politics of healthcare at the Trapezoid.
You know, fortunately, this was my first job out of college, so I was able to come back home and work in my hometown. I wore 2 hats. I was sports director and I was a news anchor. I did that for a few years and then decided to go full-time into news. Well, I love our team here at ABC7. We have a great mix, and it really is a great mix of personalities, of experience that meshes really well into a really strong team. I'm Scott Dennis, and I'm here for you.
According to Golf Digest, 2 of the nation's top golf resorts are on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, the Auburn Opelika Marriott at Grand National, and the Renaissance Ross Bridge Golf Resort and Spa in Birmingham. Plus, the Marriott at Grand National was recognized as Hotel of the Year by Marriott International. Experience luxury and world-class golf Southern style. Visit RTJ Golf/resorts or call 800-949-4444 to book your trip to the trail.
Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP is the largest locally owned CPAP supply company in the area. Is it time to replace your old equipment? The staff at Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP can show you the most up-to-date CPAP equipment and supplies to meet your sleep apnea needs, including portable travel devices and the SoClean automatic CPAP sanitizer. We serve all of Southwest Florida, giving the highest quality of care with the finest CPAP equipment. Please visit our website, sarasotacpap.com.
It's year-end clearance time at every Gettle location. Over 3,000 new vehicles, over 1,000 used vehicles on clearance right now at Gettle.com. And Gettle Pre-Owned Certified Plus means buying with peace of mind. Get credit help, fast cash for your car, and year-end clearance prices right now at a Gettle dealership near you. Gettle's got it. At Gettle.com.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blog, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining. Like ABC7 on Facebook to stay connected to the team you trust.
Welcome back. Okay, everyone, raise your hand. How many of you have watched the debate over Obamacare and said, wait a minute, I'm one of the so-called lucky ones who gets health insurance through my employer. Why is it becoming almost unaffordable, and why isn't anyone doing anything about it? The debate in Congress last year was whether or not to kill the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare. We will continue to debate its merits and its costs, but for a lot of middle-class families lucky enough to get health insurance through the workplace, the cost and coverage are getting worse. Cost more, covers less. This will be the 6th consecutive year of at least 5% increase in premiums and out-of-pocket costs. And increasingly, employers are picking up less of the overall tab. And joining us for more are Michael Snipes, economics instructor at USF Sarasota Manatee, and Keith Fitzgerald, a political science professor at New College. So, Michael, beginning with you, what is the economic reason for this?
Well, when it comes to insurance, there's a lot of things that go into premium prices because you have to worry about things like how these plans are taxed. You have to worry about risk pooling. You have to worry about the cost of care. And so when you're looking at why the cost of health care is going up, there's a lot of different reasons why it could be changing. And so we need to be careful and kind of take a holistic approach and a holistic look at how things are changing and why things are changing, as opposed to maybe kind of honing in on one particular piece.
Keith, let me take you back into a time machine before Obamacare, which basically, for better or for worse, kind of hijacked the entire debate about health care in this country. But even before Obamacare, employer-based insurance was going up every single year, making it more difficult for people. Why hasn't Congress, Republicans and Democrats together, through administrations, been able to do anything about this?
Yeah, throughout the entire Obamacare debate, I always wish people could go back in a time machine, because I think everyone who is paying any serious attention to health care costs recognized that prior to that act, health care as we were doing it was unsustainable. It was a catastrophe at that point. It was only in that context that Obamacare could have passed at all. And one of the key factors that could have been in your list, probably is below all of those things, is that prices of health care in the United States continue to rise faster than inflation in every other sector of the economy. And that drives really the whole problem. It presented Obamacare with the challenges it had, and it now is affecting private insurance the same way.
Our conversation on the cost of health care continues right after we have the check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Big changes headed our way, Alan, as a cold front now still back here over the panhandle of Florida has a ways to go. We've had the prefrontal trough, which brought us some showers, heavy rainfall at times, even a few lightning strikes. All that heavy weather mainly along the East Coast now, although I would not be surprised to see one or two lone lightning strikes to emerge out of some of these cells offshore. You can see that rain now over Northport, stretching toward Arcadia. That line is the most intense line, and it's not all that intense in terms of wind or lightning, but it is bringing some heavy rainfall at times into eastern portions of Hardee County. And now the rain's back in Anna Maria, as well as they've had this line about 4:30 or 5 o'clock this evening. You can see that rain near Northport, and then that light to moderate rain occurring near Anna Maria Island, near Northwest Braden, stretching down towards Siesta Key. More showers are out here, and these will continue to push on shore as the whole front works its way southward over the next 12 hours or so. Here's the future cast showing the intense line of showers, or at least moderate to heavy rainfall, moving to the south of us by 10:30 tonight, and then the actual cold front still back here, and that'll move on through basically during the morning hours and thin out as far as that rainfall goes, but still periodic showers possible. And even right at 7 a.m. We will start to see that wind pick up. Temperatures will not warm all that much throughout the day, despite the fact we may see some sunshine occasionally, and then those winds really whipping around to the northwest up to 20 to 30 miles an hour at times by tomorrow afternoon. So your hourly planner calls for some clouds and sunshine mix tomorrow morning, and then by say 1 o'clock we'll be in the mid 60s and temperatures staying pretty chilly throughout the afternoon, and those winds are causing some concern for us on Wednesday morning, as things will be rather cold then. So in the mid to upper 50s to start things off tomorrow. We'll warm into the mid 60s for highs tomorrow, and then for Wednesday's lows we'll be down into the mid 40s for the most part. The coldest morning from this will be Thursday morning, when lows will be down to the low 40s in places across the Sun Coast, and upper 40s near the area beaches, 47 in Fort Myers. And then for Wednesday afternoon, we'll only warm into the upper 50s to low 60s for highs on that day. Now, as far as the current conditions go, we do have some clouds and some showers at the airport. It's 70 degrees, relative humidity at 93%, winds out of the north-northwest, and they're at 8 miles an hour. The high today in the 80s. We won't see the 80s again until Saturday afternoon. Temperatures will start to rebound by Friday afternoon, back into the upper 70s, close to average. Temperatures for highs tomorrow only in the 20s in places like Minot, Minneapolis, and into Chicago, 24, the high temperature So the big chill occurring across much of the upper Mississippi Valley and throughout the Great Lakes. Boston will see a high of 47. Well, there's that major winter storm still causing problems tonight, but not nearly as much as it did earlier into Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. Still mainly rainfall now into New York, although we are getting some snow into Maine as well as Vermont and New Hampshire, where there are some warnings still up there, winter storm warnings in the area of pink, but that has been alleviated throughout much of the central U.S. as a result of that storm system now winding down. 7-day forecast calling for a much cooler day tomorrow, highs in the mid-60s only. We'll start off very cold and windy on Wednesday morning, a low of 42 on Thursday, highs only in the 60s on Wednesday and Thursday, back into the 80s though over the weekend. Alan will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
All right, crew, let's get started. Kurt?
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Welcome back. We are talking about the rising cost of employer-based health insurance, and joining us for more are Michael Snipes, economics instructor at USF Sarasota Manatee, and Keith Fitzgerald, political science professor at New College. So Keith, let me start with you. And you told me that, it's complicated, and I get all this, but as far as you want to go back, if you want to go back to the Clinton administration or the first Bush or Reagan, we knew this was a problem, and every administration, every Congress since then has failed to really take it on.
Yeah, the problem goes way back to the 1940s, really, when we made the decision of basing so much health care delivery through private insurance tied to employment. That was a fateful decision. It wasn't one made very intentionally, but the place that I always like to get people to start when they think about this entire issue is the United States, among the really wealthy countries, is worst on all kinds of outcome measures and by far the most expensive. You could be one or the other, but to be both, you've really got to be messing it up. And I think at the root of it really is a political problem. All of the interest groups in healthcare are extremely powerful, and they all have a veto on the kind of major changes that would have to be done in order to get control of costs.
And I think that that's a good point, because what I tell a lot of my students when insurance issues come up is that a big part of the problem is that insurance companies, they're not necessarily in business for your health. I mean, they are for-profit companies, and they're going to be acting and making decisions that are going to be best for their bottom line. And if it's better for their bottom line, and it may not be better for you, they're going to go with a decision that's going to help them more than anything. And I think that goes back to exactly what you were talking about. You have a lot of lobbying power that pushes against a lot of the regulation that might be necessary. And so that's another thing that could be driving some of these increases in price.
And when you talk about just the pure politics of it, there have been times I've looked at members of Congress who serve on the committees that oversee healthcare policy, and you look at their campaign contributions and you see where those contributions are coming from. Aetna, the Hartford, all those big companies, they're making contributions, and they're doing it, Keith, for a pretty good reason.
Yeah, you get what you pay for. And in fact, I think people focus a lot on campaign finance as the heart of the problem. In addition to that, you also have to think about lobbying. The committees, the members of Congress themselves are highly reliant on the interests in providing them the kind of expert knowledge they need to make these policies. So they're in a completely dependent position.
All right, when we come back, I want to jump into exactly what factors within the healthcare system are really responsible for those costs and how to maybe show some light on it. We're just getting warmed up. Our conversation on the cost of healthcare will continue after a quick break, so stay with us.
Helping families with mesothelioma is all we do. My firm has been offering a free book on mesothelioma for over 10 years. Since that time, hundreds of people with mesothelioma have trusted us to represent them. We have local offices throughout the U.S., and there is no risk to you. Mesothelioma really is all we do. Call us at 1-800-485-6000. That's 1-800-485-6000. Or go to mesoonlylaw.com.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
All hands on deck. What's up? I want to point out 3 tips for using the home computer more safely. Point away.
First, stop. Make sure your software is up to date and that you've password protected your computer's login and Wi-Fi connection.
Next, think before visiting a site, opening attachments, or clicking on links.
Then connect, knowing you're helping make the web safer for you
and for everyone. Make Stop, Think, Connect part of your daily online routine.
Pets bring so much joy to our lives. They're loyal, they're protective, and smart. Yet as smart as our pets might be, they can't advocate for themselves, especially in the event of a natural disaster. During Hurricane Harvey, many families were separated from their pets. That's why it's important your pet is part of your family's disaster preparedness plan. Talk to your veterinarian and visit banfieldfoundation.org/disaster. Don't save it for a rainy day.
In life after the military, it's our duty as veterans to have each other's back. I'm retired Colonel Greg Gatson, and it's my mission to help you get the benefits and services you've earned. If you need to file a VA claim, remember these important steps. Submit an online claim through ebenefits.va.gov. work with an accredited Veteran Service Organization, or VSO. And if you need to attend a VA claim exam, please go. Visit this website to learn what to expect.
Coast Guard, we are taking on water.
The United States Coast Guard. They secure our ports and waterways, protect our environment, keep drugs away from our kids, and save lives. It's dangerous work. And in times of triumph or tragedy, the Coast Guard Foundation answers the call to support Coast Guard members and their families. Learn more at coastguardfoundation.org.
ABC7 News at 7 weeknights. You're watching ABC7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back, everyone. We are talking about the rising cost of employer-based health insurance. Joining us for more are Michael Snipes, economics instructor of USF Sarasota Manatee, and Keith Fitzgerald, political science professor at New College. And I want to emphasize again, we're not talking about Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. That's a big issue that we continue the debate and we have on the show. I am talking tonight about employer-based health insurance and how deductibles and premiums seem to go up every single year and insurance covers less. And I'm wondering, we talked about some of the political lobbying and constituencies out there that may be responsible for it, but let's talk about what people see every day in their bills that come to their homes and possible solutions to it. We got an email from one viewer, thinks that they're being ripped off by a local hospital. I believe took his wife there, and I think we have some of these costs on the screen. $1,600 for an emergency room visit, $1,100 for diagnostic services, diagnostic testing, $720. Total cost a little bit more than $3,500, $1,900 out of pocket, and they already pay $700 a month, and nothing was wrong for with this person. The bottom line is we don't know how much is being paid to someone for your typical emergency room visit. Is that part of the problem?
That's a huge part of the problem, because a lot of hospitals and a lot of insurance companies will get together and they have really open-ended fee-for-service plans. And you can have different prices depending upon what state you're in, depending upon what hospital you're in, depending upon whether your doctor is independent or actually works for the hospital. You can have different prices for the exact same procedure at the same hospital for the same care. And you're not going to know that because there's not really any transparency between the insurance company and the hospital and the patient in a lot of cases.
And it's not like you can be a savvy consumer and shop like we would for a brand new TV, on Black Friday here, because let's say, you have a child who is going through an emergency room visit. They tell you they need a CT scan. You're not going to say how much does it cost and would I be better off getting it here or down the road.
Yeah. One of the things that people will often say is that we should do this in a free market system. But as the economists will tell you, free markets operate under certain conditions that are often not met in the real world. And when it comes to healthcare, they're almost never met. So one thing is just asymmetry in information. Some people know how much stuff costs and what you need, and the consumer really doesn't. So the consumer can't shop, and that just destroys the price mechanism.
Well, you bring up two subjects here that I want to get to. I have seen some people talk about bills in Congress that would shed light in terms of the cost of medical procedures, and maybe by showing everybody how much it costs or should cost, you could cut down in terms of the excess costs. On the other hand, and I see this all the time, many times with Republicans, if you just let the free market open up and whether it's negotiating with pharmaceutical companies or over the state lines in terms of health insurance, that will drive down costs. Let's talk about these two different strategies here, Keith.
Well, first of all, with this idea of allowing people to shop across state lines, the first thing you have to understand is we've always regulated healthcare and healthcare insurance at the state level. If you allow people to shop across state lines, then whatever state has the least strenuous kind of regulations you have in this area will be the one everybody goes to, and that will not be to the advantage of consumers. Well, because they will go to the place that says you don't have to be transparent about prices. They'll go to the place where they say you don't have to report what your outcomes are, as you do now in most states. So, and a variety of other things like that. So if you want to do it at all in order to get that kind of savings, honestly, you'd have to do it nationally, and a lot of people are not going to like that either.
And then there's a kind of a secondary problem with that too. The kind of you have maybe insurance companies going to the states that have the least regulation, but you're also going to have a lot of people who use insurance the most going to the states that have the best systems.
Right.
And so then you've got all of the high-risk people all pooled into one state, all pooled into one pile, and that's not really going to change any cost for anybody either. So you kind of have, when you go across state lines, that wouldn't, it creates all these kind of like adverse situations.
What about tackling the costs, as we talked about with different testing and publicizing how much hospitals or doctors or are charging for these different procedures, and trying to get a handle on it that way?
And that's one of the things that at least forecasting moving forward, why they think insurance prices are going to go up, is because a lot of the time it's going to come down to an increase in the number of specialty treatments that are needed and an increase in high-cost claimants. And there was a quote that I like that I heard, that being poor carries interest. So if you don't have the money to cover a minor issue today, that issue can turn into a major issue later on, and then you will have to use insurance. You will have to seek medical treatment, and that's something that's going to increase the cost for insurers and for hospitals and for everybody else, and increases costs.
Does that go to what many people believe, that our politics is very short-sighted?
Yeah, absolutely. We, in this country, physician costs are about twice as much as in other countries. But that isn't so much because individual doctors are greedy. It's because a lot of them end up in acute care as opposed to preventive care. I think a lot of doctors would rather do good health care and prevent it rather than make gazillions of dollars a year, but that's a lack of political will.
So, Michael, right now is open enrollment season for many companies around here, and a lot of employees are looking at what their employer is going to be offering next year. They're seeing the increase in terms of premiums and out-of-pocket costs. They're also seeing, in many cases, employers agreeing to cover less. Is it right to get upset at your employer here, or are employers and companies, big and small, being squeezed in ways that they cannot sustain?
I think it's really the individual companies getting squeezed in ways that they can't sustain, because a lot of these decisions, a lot of the companies, insurance companies, will make offers to the employers, and employers just kind of have to take up the pick of what's offered. And again, it may not always be in the company's best interest, any of those. And we kind of have a bigger issue in that a lot of healthcare costs really eat into people's income. It's healthcare debt is one of the main reasons why people go into bankruptcy, and it eats up on average about 12% of people's income. And so if employers are getting squeezed, and then the employers are passing that squeeze, so to speak, onto its workers, then that's going to really kind of exacerbate a problem that's been going on for a long time. So the healthcare issue is really a piece, and it's an important piece. It's a big piece of a bigger picture.
And again, talking about the politics of it, we made a big deal that last year we got a tax cut, and your average worker got another $30, $40 in their paycheck per pay period. But the increase in healthcare costs has far eaten that up.
Right,
and washes it away.
The insurance policies for small employers are going up faster than big employers. That has to do with the risk pools. And also the share that the company pays as opposed to the employees has also gone up. And let me just say that there are policy fixes to most of these problems. You don't necessarily have to go to a single payer program to make really big inroads in addressing some of these problems.
Well, that would be the question, because when you talk about single payer, then half of the country is going to say, well, that's socialism, we don't want to go there. And on the other hand, the other side will say, just competition in and of itself is not a way to fix this problem.
And one of the things, again, looking at other countries can be helpful. Germany, the Netherlands, Switzerland all have private provision of health care and private payment of health care heavily subsidized by the government, but they have outcomes that are far better than we do. One thing they do is will pool buying power, so that if the government programs from Veterans Affairs, Medicare, Medicaid, and all the private insurers came to the pharmaceutical industry and said, here's how much you're getting for these drugs, they would take it as long as they made some profit.
Okay, we have to take another quick break, and we'll be back for final thoughts in a moment, so stay with us.
Where to go and what to do in Muscle Shoals in Florence, Alabama. Personalized just for you. Find your sweet spots at alabama.travel/sweet spot.
I heard about the Datoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Datoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was and some additional cancers that were not found during the biopsy. I would recommend the Datoli Cancer Center. As a group of human beings, they are unbelievably great.
It's year-end clearance time at every Gettle location. Over 3,000 new vehicles, over 1,000 used vehicles on clearance right now at Gettle.com. And Gettle Pre-Owned Certified Plus means buying with peace of mind. Get credit help, fast cash for your car, and year-end clearance prices right now at a Gettle dealership near you. Gettle's got it. At Gettle.com.
I'll be right back.
Happy Honda Days are here, and you're gonna like the holiday clearance savings. Save on the Accord, on sale for just $249 a month. That's the North American car of the year for less than the competition. Our most impressive Honda ever, on clearance for only $249 a month, loaded with more options, including a turbocharged engine and Honda Sensing. Do not miss these Honda clearance savings this week at your local Honda dealer.
Growing up, my mom was afraid of the water, something she did not want me to feel.
So I enrolled Missy in swim lessons.
It changed my life.
Missy Franklin.
And now you can do the same for someone that you love.
There's nothing more precious than your child's well-being.
So act now, before it's too late.
Make us swim! I'm glad I did.
Thanks, Mom. Visit usaswimmingfoundation.org to find, get, or give a swim lesson.
Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Michael, I'm curious from your perspective, what impact can this or will this have on the economy? Because, and we've been saying this for years, this is not sustainable.
Yeah. I mean, it could have potentially a pretty big negative impact, because as healthcare costs, like we've mentioned, as they continue to increase and outpace increases in wages and income, it's a problem that's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So when healthcare costs take up on average such a huge amount of our income to begin with, and that's already leading to a lot of bankruptcies to begin with, healthcare increases in healthcare costs, especially when they outpace increases in wages and incomes, that's something that could potentially lead to a lot of negative impacts on a lot of people.
So Keith, if this country is not ready to go to a single payer healthcare system that Bernie Sanders proposes, and I take it that you don't believe that that's really a pragmatic or practical approach. What are some of the ideas out there, or does anybody have ideas out there to fix some of the biggest cost drivers that we're dealing with?
Yeah, there's several things you can do. And by the way, I'll tell you, the politics is that if the people who are in this industry across the board, insurance, physicians, manufacturers of products, if they don't face up to the problem they have, we're going to get single payer, because people are going to demand it as a simple answer to a complicated problem. But there are things we can do. The state of Maryland has an all-payer program where the insurance companies and the government programs get in a room together, figure out what they're willing to pay for certain kind of pharmaceuticals or hospital services, and they tell the people who provide those services, this is what you're going to get. And you know what? They'll take it as long as there's a profit. That's something we should be looking at in every state in the country or at the federal level.
Where are we in Florida in terms of, with this new legislature and governor coming in, about any chance of them taking some of these things on?
I think that the way the state legislature works, it's very unlikely that there's going to be any kind of dramatic change. You would think we'd do Medicaid if we were going to do anything, and I don't see that on the horizon.
And Michael, is there some way that you could relate to people watching this now in terms of just Florida, looking at it? What is the impact on the economy here in Florida?
Well, we have an older population in Florida, and older people, generally speaking, spend more on health care. And so this is, and we have a lot of people on fixed income. And so if you have people on fixed income who are facing increasing medical costs, that's going to have an impact on a lot of people in Florida. And especially, if you are on a fixed income and you don't really have any meaningful growth in your income, but as you get older, you require more intensive health care, that's just a problem that's going to keep compounding.
Fun times. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We want to thank our guest, Michael Snipes, an economics instructor at USF Sarasota Manatee, and Keith Fitzgerald, political science professor at New College. When we return, GM announcing thousands will be laid off in the United States. How can this be when President Trump uses them as an example of a successful company during his presidency? But right now, let's get a final check on our first alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. We're looking at a cold front. That's right. Things are changing here in Florida. This cold front is going to usher in some of the coldest air of the season, and we're talking temperatures down in the 40s for lows. Not so much tomorrow morning, but more so on Wednesday and Thursday. Excuse me. We had some big storms along the East Coast right now. That's the leading edge of the trough that develops out ahead of the cold front, which is still back here. That cold front is now making its way through Jacksonville, Gainesville, and then stretching out into the Gulf of Mexico. This will continue to sink southward and then bring in the cooler air. You'll notice a big difference tomorrow. The winds will pick up out of the northwest, and it'll keep temperatures right around 65 degrees for temperatures throughout most of the day tomorrow. Right now, what we're seeing is light rainfall around. We had some pretty heavy rain earlier. That is light to moderate now, moving on into Lombo Key, Siesta Key, also into Onico. Some showers and storms also near Venice, stretching up toward Palmer Ranch and out on Siesta Key. There's some moderate to moderate rain mainly, nothing heavy. We had some heavy rain east of Northport now that moved through earlier. Arcadia saw a pretty good downpour. It's been not around very long, so rainfall totals have not been all that impressive, about 1/4 of an inch in the areas that saw that band move through earlier in Manatee County. Now some light to moderate rainfall occurring, as I said, near Onico. Stretching toward Bradenton and up near Parrish, Florida. So the forecast tonight calling for periods of showers followed by just cloudy conditions. Temperatures not dropping all that much tonight. In fact, lows will be into the upper 50s for the most part to start the morning off. Look at this, already 46 in Pensacola. That's the leading edge of that colder air. It's already moved through Jacksonville down to 58 degrees there. 70 though, still pretty mild in Orlando. Temperatures around our area where it's rained a little bit more so. Bradenton 70, 70 in Cortez. The Gulf water temperature now pretty warm at 76. That's the same temp in Mayaca City. Wauchula 1 degree cooler at 75. In Northport, you're at 76. We'll start the day off upper 50s to right around 60 degrees. Then we'll warm and stay only into the mid 60s throughout most of the day. There'll be plenty of sunshine in the afternoon, but you'll notice those winds really starting to whip around to the northwest, and it will be a windy afternoon and evening tomorrow. Well, here's a look at the temperature forecast. We'll start things off tomorrow, as I said, into the upper 50s, and we'll warm up only into around 64, 65 degrees. And then for lows, that cold air will continue to spill southward right into west central Florida, and we'll start off into the mid to upper 40s. But with that wind blowing out of the north, 10 to 15, it'll make it feel colder on Wednesday morning. And then for high temperatures only into the mid to upper 50s, but generally low 60s, it looks like, for most of the area on Wednesday. 70 right now, and we have cloudy conditions with showers being reported scattered about the Sun Coast right now. The pressure 2993, and the dew point is still pretty high at 65. Our high today was 81 degrees. This morning's low was also above average at 66. The record 28 set back in 1970. You think that's cold? Well, look at this. These are temperatures currently now. Boston, not bad. New York also warmed up, but into the teens and 20s in the upper Mississippi Valley now. 14 in Bismarck and 45 degrees into Dallas at this hour. Well, tomorrow's high temperatures will be in the 20s in places like Detroit and Toledo. I should say 30s there, 32 in Cleveland, 20s in Chicago, though, 23 in Minneapolis and 28 in Kansas City. That major winter storm is winding down now. It's bringing rainfall mainly to New York and up into near Boston, some showers there. Luckily, it's just rain now. It's not much snow, but still some heavy snow can be expected into Maine, stretching down toward upstate New York. Warnings and watches, while winter storm watches are still out, and warnings as well into Maine, into Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York, and also into western portions of New York tonight. That storm not quite over yet. Well, as the 7-day forecast checks out, 67 for your high tomorrow, much cooler. It will be windy and cold as well on Wednesday in the morning especially, and then we'll see highs gradually getting warmer through the weekend. We'll be back into the low 80s, but our rain chances increase as well. Al will be back with primetime headlines right after this.
Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP is the largest locally owned CPAP supply company in the area. Is it time to replace your old equipment? The staff at Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP can show you the most up-to-date CPAP equipment and supplies to meet your sleep apnea needs, including portable travel devices and the SoClean automatic CPAP sanitizer. We serve all of Southwest Florida, giving the highest quality of care with the finest CPAP equipment. Please visit our website, sarasotacpap.com.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
I used to dread getting up and going to work.
I was done with the corporate grind.
I was tired of being a starving artist.
And I started looking around for a business that I believed in, and I kind of wanted to do something a little more green.
My SCORE mentor helped me take the first step.
He helped me create a business plan and helped me implement it.
They've really taught me how to think big.
SCORE helped me to make the unimaginable possible, all for free. I'm here because of SCORE.
I'm here because of SCORE.
Get your free business mentor at SCORE.org.
You can help make the wishes of Suncoast children and seniors come true this holiday season. Hi, I'm Scott Dennis.
And I'm Jacqueline Matter. Join ABC7 and share your good fortune by becoming a Salvation Army Angel.
Stop by ABC7 or any Jessup's major appliance location and pick up an Angel Tree gift tag. It will tell you what one local child or senior citizen is wishing for this holiday season.
From ABC7, thank you for your generosity and happy holidays.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining. ABC7, the Suncoast's official Florida lottery station.
Check your primetime headlines. Remember when President Trump was boasting about saving GM? Today, the automaker announcing it will shut down 5 plants in North America and lay off nearly 14,000 workers. President Trump has repeatedly named GM as a success story in his time in office. ABC's Emily Rao has the details from Washington.
General Motors is slashing 15% of its salaried workforce, about 8,000 white-collar jobs and 6,000 factory workers. 5 plants, 4 in the U.S. and 1 in Canada, will close by the end of 2019.
Market conditions require that 5 North American assembly and propulsion plants will be unallocated product by the end of 2019.
GM Chair and CEO Mary Barra calling it part of the company's transformation to autonomous and electric cars, which it views as the vehicles of the future. Analysts also say GM is looking to shore up its biggest markets, China and the U.S. But the mayor of Detroit?
It's an extremely disappointing decision.
And the United Auto Workers calling it callous, saying the move won't go unchallenged.
General Motors, they're coming back. A lot of companies are coming back.
President Trump has repeatedly referred to GM as proof his economic policies, including deregulation and tax cuts, are bringing back jobs.
I'm not happy about it. This country's done a lot for General Motors. You better get back in there soon.
In a call with investors, Barra said the steep tariffs on steel implemented by the Trump administration have impacted the company, but stopped short of saying they are the cause of the restructuring.
The reality is this is just a corporation, a greedy corporation, trying to make more money off of the backs of employees.
Mary Barra has a meeting with White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow scheduled for today. President Trump says he has talked to Barra and said he was, quote, very tough. Emily Rao, ABC News, Washington.
Former Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos is starting his 14-day prison sentence after arriving at the federal prison camp in Oxford, Wisconsin. Papadopoulos was convicted of lying to federal investigators in the Russia probe. In addition to his 2-week prison sentence, Papadopoulos must pay a $9,500 fine, serve a year of probation, and do 200 hours of community service. Papadopoulos was the first of 35 people and companies charged in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. Jerome Corsi, an associate of Roger Stone, says he won't sign a plea deal offered by Special Counsel Robert Mueller. The investigation finds Corsi was possibly an intermediary between Stone and WikiLeaks during the 2016 presidential election. He says he was offered the chance to plead guilty on 1 count of perjury. In the phone call with CNN, Corsi said, quote, they can put me in jail for the rest of my life. I'm not going to sign a lie. A spokesperson for the Special Counsel's office had no comment. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.